Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Courtney and today I am doing something that requires me to have alcohol. So some of you may know this and some of you may not, but I chose to do this booktube channel because I am a reader. I am a very avid reader. I'm a supporter of indie authors because I am one myself. And I started publishing in 2019 and it is 2023 and I have about 20 books out on Amazon, and I just wanted to share a couple things because I've been getting a lot of questions from other indie authors or other authors that want, or other writers that want to publish themselves. One of the biggest comments I hear from people who have published or are looking to publish is that negative reviews are the reason that they, or negative comments, negative opinions, anything like that, is the reason that they haven't published or the reason that they regret publishing. I think that you should always put yourself out there because one of my favorite quotes of all time is "Nothing grows in your comfort zone." And that is something that stuck with me since the very, very beginning. Hi. Come here. Come here. Come here. If you're gonna be in here, you have to let me hold you. I have completely forgotten my train of thought because of that, but we're just going to continue with the concept or the idea of negative reviews. So one of my friends, and he probably is going to watch this video at some point, but he did mention that he had published a long time ago and that he got negative reviews and it caused him to take his book down and to not publish again afterwards. And we kind of talk back and forth about, you know, ideas for books and things like that. But he kind of, you know, and he's not the only one. I get this message a lot from people who are just very scared to put their work out there because they don't know how it's going to be received. Your work is never going to be for everyone, and that goes for any art form of any kind. Your work, what you put out there in the world, is never gonna be for everyone. And that thought, along with the thought of, you know, nothing ever grows in your comfort zone, is kind of what made me put my work out there in the first place. Does my heart beat a little bit quickly when I see a review that is below 3 stars? Yes. Do I get really sad? Yes. Do I whine and get depressed for an entire day at a time? Yes. Do I question whether or not I want to put any more books out there? Yes. Those are all things that go through my mind, all things that go through any author's mind, because when you put your heart and soul into a book, knowing that somebody out there is not going to like it really sucks. You can't let that scare you, because if you don't publish today, 10 years down the line, you're going to regret today that when you said you didn't want to put your stuff out there because you were afraid of what people would say. Those people are going to have their opinions just like you have your opinions, and that is okay. You can't let that scare you, because if you don't publish today, 10 years down the line, you're going to regret today that when you said you didn't want to put your stuff out there because you were afraid of what people would say. Those people are going to have their opinions just like you have your opinions, and that is okay. But the point of this video is not only to give you a pep talk, all of you future authors. So I actually compiled a list of all the negative reviews that I have, and I actually don't have as many as I thought. And that is not to say that I don't have negative ratings. Ratings and reviews are different. A rating is just when people give you a star rating, like 5-star, 3-star, whatever. When I went onto my Goodreads and my Amazon to look for negative reviews, I actually was a little bit stunned because I have a few books that are, you know, the average rating is under 4 stars. And I was kind of surprised that I didn't find more reviews. It was more just ratings. Every time I get a bad review, it just sticks out in my mind so much that I thought I was gonna go on there and have like a list of 20 bad reviews. Taking the time to review something is a bit different than just taking the time to click on a star. So, but I am gonna go through my reviews, and we're gonna read them off, and I'm gonna take a shot after every one and just go on living my life as an author who gets good and bad reviews. I wanted to start with my worst rated book, and that is Feeder. and it is my worst rated. It is my most popular, worst rated, which I think is weird, but you know what? I'm totally okay with it. You know, sometimes I go on Goodreads and I look up my favorite authors and I realize that some of their books are rated very poorly, but they're books that I love, and it really makes me feel better about myself, to be honest. So the first review on Feeder that is a bad review is a 2-star. And it says, I read most of this book, stopped when there is a like slight spoiler in this, but it is not a spoiler in my opinion as the author. It is not a spoiler that will spoil the entire book for you, so I'm going to read it anyways. There is a review that it's probably the worst review I've ever gotten. I'm not going to be reading that one only because the entire review is a huge spoiler. It's kind of long and it kind of goes through a lot of the book that I don't want to give away. So if you want to check out that review, that horrible, cruel review, it is on my Goodreads and on Amazon for Feeder. Or no, it's not for Feeder, it's for Torment. I got that wrong. Torment is number 2 in the series. But anyways, I know what I'm talking about. I'm the author. Of course I know what I'm talking about. And also, disclaimer. I support negative reviews. I don't think anybody should have to not give a negative review because they're scared of the feelings of the author. I went through a awakening where I had to feel the pain of getting a negative review. I had to process it, and then I had to tell myself that it was not the last time I was going to get a bad review. And as an author, I think it's been very poor taste when I see other authors attacking reviewers for the negative reviews that they leave. If you don't want people talking bad about your book, then don't put your book out there. So I fully support every one of the negative reviews that I have gotten, which is why I'm reading these. I am not reading these. I'm keeping the reviewers anonymous. I am not reading these to attack anybody. I'm reading these to get over it, I guess. I don't know. Let's get back on track. Anyways, so the first review that I'm going to read is from Feeder. It is my gothic vampire romance novella. And it says, I read most of this book and I stopped when the young Raphael killed his father and incapacitated Kieran. That made no sense to me. The other 2 vampires are much older and stronger. That the 2-star review came from a very small incident in the very end of the book. But I can see where the frustration might come from because he is younger. But I, as a writer, am going to try and justify that and say he is younger, but he's also what is called a born vampire, which means both of his parents were vampires instead of somebody that being human and turned. And I kind of think I mentioned that in the book, but if I don't, I apologize that it was not clear. I think it's called Deus Ex Machina, right? Where you kind of explain something away in a way that shouldn't be explained away, just to get on with the story. And I feel like, yeah, I kind of did that there. I'll give you that one. The next review on Feeder is actually a 3-star review, but I just loved the actual review of it too much to not include it, because I was gonna try and just include like 2-star and under reviews on here, but some of the 3 stars can be kind of brutal, so I included this one. And this one actually made me laugh, and I'll tell you why after I read it. It's a 3-star review for Feeder, the same book. This story was around a 3.5 or 4 stars. The smut was a generous 1 star. The words slit, mounds, folds, milking should never be used in smut ever. And this review didn't just confuse me, but it also had tons of comments agreeing with it on Goodreads. And this didn't even offend me. I am not offended whatsoever. There are certain words that I cannot handle in smut. And I guess if somebody can't handle these words, that would take me out of it. But on the other side of things, I don't think I've ever read a romance or a smutty book that did not have at least one of these words in it repetitively. And so like, I actually showed this to people because I'm not offended. I don't care. I understand certain words giving you like triggering you. For me, it is love tunnel. If you say love tunnel in a smutty book, I will close that book and I will never think about it again. There are certain authors that I will not name on this channel that I see them on a book and I will swipe it, I will forget about it, I will never touch it, because there are certain things and descriptions that they use that I cannot handle. And again, I won't say which authors those are, but I absolutely have moments like that where I can't do it. But what made me laugh about this is that those are all things that I like legitimately think I've read in every single romance book I've picked up. I don't know, to each their own, I guess, but I just want to message this person and ask them, where are all the romance books that they're finding where people find different words to use? Because I don't know where they are. We're gonna move on to the second book in the Feederverse. Because, again, those are my two worst rated books, but they're also my most popular. Actually, no. Feeder is more popular on Amazon. Like, the reviews are better on Amazon than they are on Goodreads. Torment is the opposite. On Amazon, it is terrible. People do not like it. On Goodreads, it's faring okay. I don't get it. I mean, people are very, very critical on Goodreads. I will say that. It is weird because I've noticed sometimes somebody will leave a review on Goodreads that is not that great, and then they will, or a rating, not a review, a rating on Goodreads is not that great, and then when that same person rates it on Amazon, it's got like an extra star. And I'm actually more critical on Amazon because I have an alias on Amazon. On Goodreads, because I'm an author and I don't have another account that I read from my author account. I'm actually overly nice about my reviews because I know like authors will see that, and I am part of a big community full of authors. And I've never been dishonest, but I have been a little bit more vague about some of my reviews on there because of that, if that makes sense. Torment. It is the second book in my Feederverse series. That is the book where I got the really, really bad review. The one that made me question whether or not I wanted to keep writing it. Made me question myself. Made me question if I was a bad person. And the reason for that is that this particular review that I won't read because of the spoilers that it included, said that I had included something. I did warn that it is a dark romance, and that there are certain elements in this book that might not be comfortable for people to read. And if you are a dark romance reader, you might enjoy it. If you're not a dark romance reader, you might not enjoy it. But in my opinion, it was very tame for a dark romance. But this person felt that it was not tame, and that it was crossing a lot of lines. And it honestly made me feel so crazy because I thought maybe like I wasn't seeing these lines that the person was talking about. And so I actually went around to anybody that I knew who read this book and read my book, and I asked them if this review was accurate. If it was accurate and they just didn't like that accuracy, I would have understood. But there were a lot of people that defended it, or defended me, saying that the review was not accurate to the contents of the book. And so I guess that's another reason I'm not reading that review, is because it's a little bit controversial, I guess. Like, you are entitled to your opinion. If you thought it was that offensive, absolutely leave that review, because if there are other sensitive people that read your review and they see like, you know, what you said about that book and they don't want to pick it up for that reason, totally get it. But, you know, that, I think that one hurt the most. That one, though, anonymous person, desensitized me to any bad review I got in the future, because that was the first really bad review I ever got. So I went through like a week of processing, a week of soul searching, a week of meditating, and, you know, getting the support of people around me, because I was like hyperventilating and like freaking out that I was just a bad person for writing something I didn't think I wrote. And I think it desensitized me. So like every other bad review I've ever gotten since then, I brush it off, and I don't really, you know, I don't let it affect me. And, you know, when people ask me, because I do get this question a lot, when people ask me like how I handle bad reviews, I don't really have an answer for them, because after that review kind of destroyed my life for a week, no other review has affected me in such a way, and it just doesn't occur to me. Like, I feel like I don't even have to handle it. There's no process that I go through anymore. I just kind of look at it and I'm like, huh. Cool, moving on. Aside from that review, that was a big tangent. But this review that I am going to read you, it is a 1-star for Torment, and I think it came out very shortly after the book was released. And it says, this book was full, totally full, of grammatical errors which cheapened the whole experience. I did not like how cruel he was towards her and how she suddenly fell for him. It didn't make sense. don't bother with this one. I read that and it was just like, it was kind of funny because the review immediately preceding that review had mentioned specifically that there were no grammatical errors, and I think it just broke my brain. Am I really like that bad at editing my own work? Because newsflash to anybody who doesn't know, but indie authors typically edit their own work because editing is very expensive and a lot of us don't have the funds to do that. So a lot of us self-edit. That's off topic. Anyways, so like I got a review that specifically mentioned that there were no grammatical errors and that, you know, it was a good read, and then this one came up and it was like, it was full of them, and I questioned my life at that point. It was a moment. It's not even the alcohol, it's the fact that it is so sweet. Sliced apple, not regular apple, just sliced apple, spiced rum. What is the difference between a sliced apple and a whole apple? Like I said, ratings and reviews are different. I have a lot of bad ratings on my books, but this is the last book that I've written that has bad reviews. Like people actually put the time into reviewing it. And this confuses me, because you know how I said Goodreads and Amazon are completely different with their reviews, and like Amazon, this is a fairly new thing where Amazon actually lists on your book on Amazon, they will actually say what the Amazon rating is and they will say what the Goodreads rating is. I think this is the book that is the most different. The ratings on Goodreads are so different from the ratings on Amazon. On Goodreads, this book has a 4.01. So it is so close to being a under 4-star rating, which is fairly average for books on Goodreads because people are very critical. On Amazon, it has a 4.7, which is so high, which just blows my mind. And I'm just it plays with my emotions, you know, because sometimes I'll look at Amazon and I'll be like, people love this book, I wrote a good book. And then I will go to Goodreads and I will realize that I wrote a bad book. Okay, I didn't write a bad book, but you know, like I wrote a book that a lot of people don't like and don't feel is worth reading. And it's just weird because I mean, geez, it's like two different lovers telling me two different things and I just don't know which one to go with. I don't know. That book that I am talking about is the first in my Beyond the Marillion series, which is a elven fantasy romance series of novellas that are all standalones. So you can read each one of those books by themselves. And it is on the first book of the series, which is called Into the Wild. The first bad review that I'm going to read is very simple. This should go quickly. It is a 1-star and it says #DNF. I'm not even offended. If you didn't read it, that's fine. I DNF so many books. It's absolutely ridiculous how many books I DNF. The next rating is another DNF, but they at least gave me 3 stars. So it's a 3-star rating. It says DNF, got to around 80%, read and lost interest. The story started out strong, it was interesting, good writing, I was eager to see what happened and meet the elves. Once she got into the elven world, the writing became a bit too descriptive for me, dragging out parts that weren't important as a result, and I felt like the story was moving too slowly. And then she went on to spoil something, and I hold on, let me read it and see if it's a spoiler that I can tell you on YouTube. Okay, I don't want to tell you that on YouTube. So I'm not going to read that part, but she did put a spoiler in the review. I can never be upset that somebody DNF'd my book because I DNF a lot of books, and it's not always that I think the book is bad. It's just that I'm not jiving with it. I don't feel like moving on with the book is more important than me finding another book that I think I will finish and I will connect more with. I DNF maybe 1 out of every 5 books that I try to read. And I usually don't put a rating on books that I DNF because if I don't finish it, I just don't feel right putting a rating or a review about it. The last rating is another 3-star review, and it says, though the overall story was enjoyable, this is for Into the Wild. This is another Into the Wild review. Though the story was enjoyable, with Petra fleeing from her life in the Marillion and being captured by the elves, the characters were quite one-dimensional. The story had a good plot, but the implementation was weak. There was also several times where the wrong word was used. A horse's mane was used instead of mane, you know, spelled differently. Tidal wave instead of tidal, spelled differently. Relaxed with contention and peace, contentment. It's hard to read that one out loud because there's a lot of like grammatical stuff in this that probably makes more sense if you read it than like when I read it out loud to you. But anyways, it was a good enough story to keep the reader interested and I'm likely to read the rest of the books in the series. I love that review. You know why? Because first of all, that person said they're going to read the rest of the books in the series, which is a huge win for me because thank you, I appreciate it. Indie authors, like a lot of us, we know the basics of grammatical, rules and stuff like that. But there are always things that we miss because these little grammatical errors can escape you so easily as an author because you don't have another person coming to read your books and to edit your books because, like I said, it's very expensive. And I know that sounds like really amateur, especially for people that are used to traditionally published books. But as an indie author, when people put specifically critical reviews like that in reviews, like when they review a book and they have criticisms like that, it's actually really helpful for us. And I really appreciated that. This hardly is considered a bad review to me, but I really appreciated that she said she was going to read the other books in the series because that to me means that the story was good. Anyways, those are all of my bad reviews. Again, not all of my bad ratings, just all of my bad reviews. The moments when people wanted to write down the reasons they didn't like my books, that was them. I hope this video served as a way for other authors, if other authors are watching or other aspiring authors are watching, I hope it served as a way to kind of alleviate some of that stress about getting negative reviews. Let yourself learn from the things that people say, or let yourself just let those opinions go, because that's what they are in the end. They are opinions. If you're uncomfortable releasing your work because you're scared of what people will think about it, that's no way to live, because there are 8 billion people in the world and they're not all going to have the same opinion as you. They're not all going to like your work. They're not all going to resonate with the story that you want to tell. And that's fine. So I hope that this was entertaining. I am slightly drunk now. I'm just really glad that I didn't have more than 5 reviews or 6 reviews that were bad. Because that would have been dangerous. But anyways, I hope you all have a really good day or week or whatever, and I appreciate all of you being here. Like and subscribe, it really helps me out because I am a new channel here. Whether you're an author or a reader, what are your thoughts on negative reviews? I will absolutely be looking forward to seeing you guys next time. Bye!